Bizarrely, we met through his birthday run. A friend of mine tagged me on Facebook for Luca's birthday run back in, I think it was early October, which was going from Manly to Camay overnight, 110 Ks. I was like, okay, that sounds like something I could kind of get on board with. And that was my first ever meeting. I'd never even heard of Luca, to be honest. I hadn't heard of the 24 hours, I'll admit. The minute I met Luca that night, it was such an infectious guy to be around. I had come back from the Berlin Marathon on the Monday, and the run was on the Friday night, so my legs were a bit tired. I came in with as much enthusiasm as I could, so I joined the guys in Manly, and we ran from Manly to Cremorne Point. The time I got to spend with Luca on that run, we didn't run the whole time together, but the interactions we had, it was just amazing. He allowed me to talk about what I thought were my achievements to date, and I talked about Berlin and talked about what I had coming up, and then he spoke about some of the stuff that he had done, and at no point did I feel that he was boasting about what he had done, but it gave me a new perspective on how little I actually had done and how much more there was to do. And I think everyone in that group that night came across that way. The most amazing, motivating people you could come across, who were happy to hand out advice unconditionally, and listening to their stories was just inspiring, I suppose is the best way to describe it. And when you're in people's company like that, you kind of, you start talking about, mindset and the training that's involved, and, I suppose why you do it, why you put yourself through that sort of, some people would say torture, but from the small bit of running that I have done, I can kind of see what the attraction would be to something like that. So yeah, that was my first interaction with Luca. I think after that, I don't think we actually ran again until I spotted him at the finish line in Camay Park Run one Saturday morning. Luca has always a big smile on his face, and he goes, we need to talk. And I go, we are talking. And he says, no, we need to talk. But he wouldn't tell me anymore, which made it even more kind of, it's like, you can't do that. You can't say something like that and just kind of walk away. It's like, I'll tell you in time. A couple of weeks passed and there was still nothing. Now, I knew it was Luca, so I knew it was going to be, out of this, crazy, but it was just a level of how crazy. And then eventually, I don't know actually when he told me, but he sent me a message on Facebook with the link to the 5 and 5. And at first it was like, yeah, this is crazy. And his blurb on the website kind of attests to that is a natural reaction. The more I thought about it, I won't say the less crazy it sounds, but the more achievable it was. At no point thinking about it did I think that's something I couldn't do. It wasn't kind of out of my realm of possibility. I've done a few marathons over the past 2 years. I'm relatively new to running, but I had decided to take on a challenge in November where I did the Queenstown Marathon, and then 24 hours later did Point to Pinnacle, which was the toughest half marathon in the world up a mountain, and I pulled up okay from that. So when I heard of this 5 and 5, I was like, okay, well, maybe that is kind of the next step to kind of testing, where the body can go and where the mind can go. The more I thought about it, the more it was a case of, this is an amazing opportunity. That's the way I kind of started to look at it. I was like, number one, Luca, who I learned a bit more about since our initial meeting, a fantastic ultra runner. That's a really, really nice guy on top of it, which makes it even more attractive because the ability to learn from him is there. I didn't jump into it straight away because I actually wanted to have a good think about what the program meant and what it would mean commitment-wise, and what it would change for me and what I wanted to get out of it. Talked to a few close running friends, and kind of just bounced ideas off them. I think even when I was having these conversations, I was 90% in. I just wanted to be 110% sure before I signed up for something as crazy as this that I was doing it for the right reasons, that those reasons were pretty clear in my head. There are multiple reasons. You're doing something as big as this. It's not just one reason, but there's one main reason that I've decided it's top of the list, and it's going to be the one thing that I keep coming back to. It's going to be the thing that gets me out of bed. It's going to be the thing that gets me through the 5 5 marathons. So I'm doing this to better myself. And what that means for me, it sounds like very simplistic, but it's also quite complex in what's behind it. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm doing this for me, so that's what's going to motivate me when I'm out there. But behind that, what I want to change is everything. I've started running properly in the last 3 years. It's been a very, very steep transition. I've gone from running city to surf badly to running multiple marathons in a very, very short period of time, and not a lot has changed. So what I want to look at, yes, the running, but everything outside of the running that affects the running. The starting point for that is mentality, and learning kind of the mental tricks that Luca uses for his long runs. Nutrition is a huge thing. Nutrition for when I'm running, nutrition before a race, nutrition after some of my workouts. Trying to focus on all of that to improve my actual performance. Other things that I'd like to kind of get out of it is learning about sleep, learning about the strength and conditioning that the guys at the body mechanic do. Again, because I've been so new to this, I've just focused on the running. I haven't actually considered, sorry, that's not true. I have considered it. I haven't done anything about it, about improving my strength, my core. I suppose bettering myself is the key thing, and that's the thing that I want to keep at the very top of it. The second thing that I keep coming back to is Luca. It's not any marathon program, it's running with Luca. And as I said, Luca is such an infectious guy. I don't think anyone would have a bad word to say against him. He's just a lovable character, and he has this ability, and I'm not the only one that has said this, that when you run with him, kilometers just disappear. There are going to be a lot of challenging moments. The training is going to be horrendous. There are going to be a couple of weeks, I think, that I'm going to question everything, including why I'm doing this, including whether it's possible. But at the moment, I'm 100% sure it is doable. I've no doubt in my mind mentally that I can do it. I'm looking forward to the journey. The journey is going to be sensational. Like, yes, the 5 and 5 is the finale of it, essentially, and crossing that finish line in Canberra is going to be, the piece de resistance of the whole piece. But it's going to be getting there. It's going to be the really dark moments that are going to make the joy of Canberra and that finish line actually worth it. It's the same. It's essentially a huge long marathon. So in my marathon so far, I've hit a wall between 33 and 35k, and it's horrendous. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. But the only reason I enjoy marathons is because of the rush of drugs that you get from 37 to 40. The only reason you get those is because you've gone through the wall. So essentially, this process is the exact same thing. We're going to have those dark moments where self-doubt, maybe some niggles, where it just gets a bit too much. But then the peaks are going to be, pushing through, having those good runs after those tough moments. And I honestly cannot wait to cross that finish line in Canberra. And it's not because I want the journey to be over. It's because I know it's going to be a sense of euphoria that I've never experienced before. I'll have pushed myself so far beyond where the body should be pushed and the mind should be pushed. And I think I'll be a hell of a lot stronger afterwards.